But listen, NBA All-Star Weekend. Did you watch any of it? What was your thought here? Because this sort of
I watched it and it's over. I felt like I was bedside with a loved one, and you're having the discussion as to whether or not you need to pull the plug. And sadly that's where we are. And I hate to get super maudlin and dark, but this thing is over, Mark. And I've been the biggest NBA All-Star Game supporter of anybody in local media, because I enjoy watching them go up and down and play and show athleticism, and then you get to the end of the game, and now we're going to compete. The old ideology was 3/4 of street ball, 1/4 of let's actually play basketball.
True, that's
I
true.
was okay with that. This game was not that. This game was 4/4 of unmitigated garbage. Nobody cared about it. Nobody is even moved by the fact that Jason Tatum broke the All-Star Game scoring record. That thing was a complete waste of time for everyone.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah, I had the same sort of vibe, but I think it becomes somewhat too easy after All-Star games to be like, All-Star games stink. Yeah, they kind of do. Like in this day and age, they don't work anymore for all of the reasons that we know, which is athletes are way more in tune and paying way more attention to their bodies, their nutrition, their time, their mental health, their physical health. And that's the problem with analytics. And I don't know what the fix is here, but this is what I've noticed about anything that's analytic related. If I sat down with a human being across the table from me, just like you and I are right now, and you explained to me, now, why did you do that? And that could be, we didn't go for it on 4th down, Kyle Shanahan. We didn't try to score with 50 seconds left to go before halftime of the Super Bowl. Or, hey, Gabe Kapler, why did you pull Rodon in the 5th inning of a shutout? Or, hey, NBA superstar, why did you sit out the second half of the All-Star game? Why are you staring at each other while you're in a layup line? All of these things. They can sit there and answer the question in a way that makes total sense to me. Well, here's why we do what we do. Here's the analytics behind that. We've got data. We've got studies. The body is going to respond better here. Our data shows that third time through the lineup.
Right. All that.
You can sit there and explain that to me all day long, and I'll nod my head and go, okay, that makes sense. But what does that mean collectively when you do that repeatedly over a period of 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? It feels to me like what it means is fans are going to go away. Because all of these things, they lead to better health. They lead to maybe
longer careers,
and maybe even a better chance of getting a hit in the 8th inning. But it doesn't lead to good things for fans, and therefore ratings plummet, and your game gets put in a bad spot.
It's about entertainment, and we can make this about any sport we want, but the thing that strikes me most is about the San Francisco Giants and the season that's coming up, and you look at what Gabe Kapler and Farhan Zaidi have done in their tenure, and they've done really well in terms of winning games and keeping players healthy and being a competitive team. But as a fan, when you look at the Giants going into this year, and we talked about it in the changeover a little bit, you don't have any player that you can really sink your teeth into, in large part, to me, because of the way that Farhan Zaidi and Gabe Kapler go about running this team. You've got players up, players down, players in, players out. And for the NBA model, you've got load management now to where, the Warriors, for example, Steph Curry, he's out injured right now. And when will he come back? Well, he'll come back when he's good and ready and when he's healthy enough to be able to play. And even when he comes back, there might be some games in there that he sits out because he won't be fully ready, and the analytics tell you that he needs to rest and he needs to not play every game, and I get it. So the brain side of you says, it makes perfect sense. I understand it. But the fan side of you, the emotion is, I want to be entertained. And ultimately, this is an entertainment vehicle, and the entertainment value is slowly being sapped away in baseball and in basketball.
It's a tough needle to thread. I'm not going to lie to you here. Like, Klay Thompson's a great example.
Yeah.
Okay? We have somehow bought into this. It's kind of crazy. If you had said this to us 2 years ago, we would have been like, well, that's laughable. But we've somehow bought into the idea that between a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, two horrible injuries, that Klay Thompson is unable to effectively play back-to-back nights 2 years later. That's crazy. I mean, honestly, 2 years later, this guy can't play on a Tuesday and a Wednesday when the next game is not until Sunday. He can't do that. So he didn't do that until the first time, which was last week, and it was only because he had 9 days off right after the back-to-back.
The thing is, he can do that, but what the science tells you is we'd rather him not.
And you can sit down and you can explain to me, Doc Pandia tomorrow, why this makes sense. And I can go, okay.
It makes sense.
I'm not a doctor and I'm not a trainer. And boy, I love me some Klay Thompson and I want his career to be as long as possible. So, okay. And I walk out of the room and I go, well, okay, I get it. Here's why Klay Thompson doesn't play back-to-backs. But in the end, Klay Thompson's not playing back-to-backs. Like one of the people we buy tickets to go see is missing a game a week because he won't play. And so I don't know what the right answer is there. Do you get an extra year of Klay Thompson, except for the years that lead up to that extra year feel empty?
Right.
Because you're only playing 2/3 of the basketball games? Is that good for entertainment? I don't know the answer. It doesn't feel to me like it's good for entertainment, and therefore we are continuing. And this is human nature. We're making the choice of short-term gain, long-term loss. And I don't know how you fix that because that's what humans do, right? If you take out a loan, you are choosing short-term gain, long-term loss.
Yes.
And we all do it.
We do it with everything. And I was mentioning to you in the green room about our approach to global warming and climate change and whether or not you feel that that's a real thing or not, that's a you problem. But like the ability to recycle, conserve water, all the rest of it, like all the lights we have on in here in the studio, we don't think about, man, maybe I should turn off these lights in order to save some power, save resources for the future generations. We don't think about that. We think about our own comfort. And if it's air conditioning or heat or long showers or the rest of it, we don't often think about, how can I make this world a better place for future generations? We think about, how can I make myself more comfortable? And if you're an NBA player and you are paid in full and you have a guaranteed contract and you're thinking, all right, I'm Klay Thompson. I've got one more year after this year, and then I need to go out and get another deal. I want to keep playing. Do I want to burn myself all the way out to where at the end of this contract I'm not as viable? Or do I want to maybe slow play these years? And, I'm still a good player and I've won championships and I love the fans and I love to play. However, if I can drag this thing out to contract time, maybe I can get another $80 million and be able to prolong my career.
Some of this is also just how you present it to the fans. Again, if you sit down and explain each of these things to me, I get it. However, how do you present that to the fans? How do you present to the fans? So, yeah, not playing tonight. Like Adam Silver over the weekend was like, load management's not that big a deal. And he said this has been going on forever. But I thought he presented it incorrectly. He presented it in such a way as like, look, we're not going to be here forcing guys to play through injury. I'm like, I don't think anybody wants you to force guys to play through injury. We want to force guys to play through non-injury. We want you to play when you're healthy.
Right.
They're not even playing when they're healthy. And that was also the case with the All-Star game. And no fan wants their favorite player to get hurt at the All-Star game. But presentation matters. Go to any restaurant in the city. Presentation matters. The steak can be delicious, but if it shows up on a plate, there's just juice flying everywhere and the vegetables are going sideways, you're not going to dig that restaurant. So, for instance, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Oklahoma City Thunder. They asked him, and this was after Mike Malone's like, that's the worst basketball game I've ever seen in my life. They asked him, how do we fix the All-Star game? This is a presentation that to fans, in my opinion, you don't want to make.
There's always money talks. So, I mean, the more incentives, I think guys will take it seriously, more seriously. But with that being said, it was super fun the way it is now, and I have no complaints. So yeah, I don't I don't necessarily think it needs to be fixed, but if they want that, I think there for sure is a way.
I mean, he's sitting there in what appears to be a $5,000 mink coat.
Probably more than that.
As he's looking at a reporter and he goes, money talks, the implication being, we'll try in the All-Star game if you pay us even more.
Right.
And
he's making 30.9 this year.
A piece of me gets it, but you can't present that to the fans. You can't.
No, and especially when, so Shea is making 30.9 this year. Then it goes to 33.4, 35.9, 38.3, and 40.8. So he signed a 5-year, $179 million contract, which is guaranteed. So how much money would it take for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to give a crap about going out there and playing in this game? Is it $1 million? Is it $1 million a player for the winning team? I saw somebody put this out on Twitter, and I wish I remembered who it was, but the tweet was, the winning team, you get an extra week off. So if you win the All-Star game...
How do you do that, though? How would you execute that?
You would just change the schedule. You have to push it back.
I mean, do you have any idea what goes into that logistically?
No, I'm with you, Mark.
That's not possible.
No, I'm just saying, in terms of what players really want.
Start moving concerts around?
Totally, right?
I mean, come on.
I'm just thinking about in terms of what players really want. How do we get players to really care about it? If you give them $1 million a guy to go out there and play and win, well, that's a game check for Steph Curry. Is Steph going to be highly motivated to go out and get an extra $1 million to go win a game?
Apparently.
Well, that's what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander says.
Yeah.
I don't know if other players agree with that.
Kyle, what's up?
I think what we have to do is change the presentation of the All-Star game. You have to stop presenting it like a basketball game. Mic up everybody, have an on-court MC running around out there, change your camera angles, mess with whatever
celebrity game, but with actual players.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, just turn it into that. Stop trying to market this as like, hey, here's the best players going at it, because it's not that. So don't present it that way.
I think I agree with that. Like, how about this, for example? And I wonder if this would even work with you and me. Who won the home run derby last year?
I couldn't tell you.
Do you remember,
Stanton?
Kyle?
I feel like if you give me a minute, I'll remember.
Same.
If you Google it.
Juan Soto.
Was it Soto?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. You sound confident, so I'll go with it.
No, it was. Because remember you had Pete Alonso in the dugout or whatever. He was going Zen master there for a second, then he ended up losing and it was hilarious.
All right,
That's a tough comp for me because the baseball All-Star game still feels like an All-Star game because at the very end of it, if I'm a pitcher and I'm an All-Star and you're a hitter and you're an All-Star, I don't want you to beat me. So that paradigm, that dynamic, because it exists in baseball inherently, the baseball All-Star game is fine because I don't want you to get a hit off me.
But it's
better than okay, I think, in terms of it being a real game.
So who won the All-Star game last year?
I have no idea.
And who was the MVP?
I couldn't tell you.
American League, because they always win it, but I don't know who the MVP was.
Somebody hit a home run in a 3-1 game.
I guess my example is that I think by and large, we will do a better job of remembering the home run derby than we will the game. And it's to Kyle's point. The NFL has already done away with the actual Pro Bowl game. Let's turn this into a skills competition and a little flag football and all of this. If the NBA did come out and do wild camera angles and, you got a 5-point shot out there at half court for Dame Lillard and turn it into rock and jock, but with the actual players, would that be, in a way, more entertaining because at least it's being packaged to us in a way where it's like, look, we're just here to mess around and have fun. We're here to entertain you, but we're not going to package this as a game that matters. Baseball, your contention is fair. The game is fine. It doesn't need to be changed. However, I still think we're dialed into the home run derby more than we are the game, which is another push in the direction of just turn this into wacky skills weekend.
It's more entertaining than an actual baseball game, unfortunately, because, an actual baseball game, you got strikeouts, walks, and the 3 true outcomes and the rest of it. I wonder how many NBA players would show up for that sort of a contrived, just fun rock and jock sort of game. You saw Josh Allen already. He would rather go play a celebrity golf tournament than go to Vegas and play in some cockamamie flag football event. Now, I loved what they did at the Pro Bowl games. I thought it was entertaining. And the fact that at least some players were there made it more entertaining. But you had LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The only reason why they went to the All-Star game in Utah this year was to keep their streak alive.
They were drafting.
And also that way LeBron can say, I've played in the most all-star games in history. He was hurt. Giannis was hurt. Giannis played 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pointless.